Well, guys, I got to tell you, I am super excited today. As most of you know, I'm Scott Sullivan. A lot of you know me as Sully. I get the chance to talk to some of the most exciting people in the solar industry every week, and this week is no exception. I have with me today the Vice President of Engineering of a company called Operant Networks. And the Vice President of Engineering is Andrew Bartles. Andrew, how in the world are you? And welcome. I'm so glad to get a chance to talk to you.
Oh, doing great. Yeah, it's a privilege.
No, it's the honor is mine. So for everybody that doesn't know, because Operant Networks is kind of new to the marketplace. They've been in stealth mode for a while, but they're now making a big splash at SPI. Tell us a little bit about you, a couple of sentences about Operant Networks, and then tell us why the people that are watching this video right now even need to care. What is it that's happening in the industry, and where are we going that Operant Networks fills that need?
Yeah, a little bit about my history. I got started in this sector, cybersecurity and energy sector, back in 2002, right after the 9/11 attacks. And there was just a lot of interest around securing the nation's critical infrastructure at that time. You saw the formation of the NERC CIP standards and so on. So that's kind of the genesis of my interest here. As I've continued to follow this, we see that things begin to ratchet up in not only attacks and importance, but also the proliferation of renewables as they continue to roll out across the United States. And so I think we're at a very interesting time at Operant because there's kind of this nexus of being able to secure grid endpoints cheaply and inexpensively, and also be able to monitor those. The problem becomes much more difficult as you get more and more endpoints. It's one thing to have 10,000 endpoints, but when you get millions of them and they're in disconnected parts of the grid, people are owned under different ownership models and so on, you really have to pay attention to the attack surface. So that's really the message we're seeing from the Department of Energy and Department of Defense, that really there has to be something. NERC CIP covers a lot of the larger sites, but as you see this proliferation, you really have to look at all of the endpoints, because the cyber threat is real out there.
Wow, that's super cool. Thank you for that information. I have a follow-up question. So I have a solar array, and it's a couple of megawatts, or I'm an owner operator, and and because I'm connected to the grid, does that mean that I have a vulnerable spot for not only me, but also for the rest of the grid? Because under an attack, they could get through my network and then get to the actual grid. Am I hearing what you're saying correctly?
Yeah, that's the gist of it. And you might find that you get attacked in a very subtle way. It might just be you browsing to a website, and maybe there's a small bit of malware that ends up in your browser. Might not be anything at all in terms of externally coming in through a firewall. So just the average home user probably doesn't have all the defenses to protect against this kind of thing. You would install your antivirus and so on like that. But these kind of zero-day attacks and this kind of malware propagation is very subtle, and they're very sophisticated. So the thinking is that if you were to propagate this across, let's say, a whole neighborhood, not just your one site, you could end up with a kind of a coordinated bot attack or some other coordinated influence on the grid. When you get up to larger numbers, suddenly all those solar sites add up to real energy production, right? And they can begin to impact the grid in a positive or negative way.
Oh, wow. Okay, I see what you're going with that. So is this, do you see legislation coming that's actually going to be mandating this type of protection because this is a critical infrastructure in the United States?
Yeah, I think that NERC and FERC will both continue to lower the number of megawatts that come under their jurisdiction. Right now, that's sitting at 75 megawatt sites. So sites larger than that end up having to have additional security controls on them. But I think over time, you'll see the trend that value will come down. So smaller and smaller solar sites are going to be mandated. And it's also just, for an individual home user, maybe not so much there. But if you think about the way a DERM system might work, where a utility is controlling solar installations and wind installations across a larger geographic area, that's where you're going to see the NERC CIP requirements come in.
Wow, that is definitely something to think about. So if this has piqued your interest today, I wanted to introduce Andrew to you and to the whole world out there. We are going to be at RE Plus, which is also AKA Solar Power International in Anaheim, September 19th through the 22nd. We are going to be there. And if you've got questions, if you want to know more about this, if you understand or don't understand everything there is to know about security on your solar arrays, so if you're a commercial, industrial, or utility scale and a solar customer, you definitely want to stop by and see Andrew at Operant Networks. So I want to thank you, first of all, for stopping by and just having a few minutes. But I will make sure that everybody knows in the post exactly what your booth number is, and they can come by and see us. If you want to, my contact information is right down below. You guys all know me. If you want to set up an appointment to have a conversation around this with Andrew or any of the folks at Operant Networks, don't hesitate to reach out to me. So until I see you next week out there in Anaheim, Andrew, have a great weekend.
Very good. Have a good weekend.